In a world full of movie podcasts, here is one more. Welcome to Defend Your Movie with Sean Donnelly.
The time has come again. A champion must stand. It can only be one of us. Victorious. So stand up and fight, my friend. There's a title you must defend. Shut it on, bring it to me. Defend your movie.
Hello there, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Defend Your Movie. I am your host, Sean Donnelly. Thank you so much for listening. We have a fun one today. I am joined by two super hilarious people. I have a special co-host because, I'll be completely honest. Farrah refuses to come back on the show unless I watch Titanic. I have not watched Titanic yet. She's really taking a stand here. It's like her civil rights fight, basically. And so she will not come back on the show until I watch it. So if you want her back on, you have to write to us and say, you asshole, watch Titanic. But in replacement of Farrah today, I have my buddy, super funny comic. You know him from Stand By Your Band, the podcast. He's been on the show a bunch before. Tommy McNamara, everybody.
Wow, thank you so much. I didn't realize I was a scab. No. Farrah's going to beat the shit out of me.
Yeah, you broke through the line outside. Yeah. It's just Farrah with one placard.
I don't know how I got by, yeah.
And our guest for the day, we just did a show together, and it was in Albany. It was so much fun. I'm not lying when I say this. You are one of my favorite comics in the city. Like, not just the pleasantry thing. I, honest to God, believe that, and I'm not kidding. Not to kiss your ass, but I swear to God, it's totally true. Because people say that, and then they don't mean it. In your case, I really mean it.
Oh, thank you.
Sarah Tollemache, ladies and gentlemen,
hi guys.
is joining us today. We've known each other for a while, I guess.
Yeah,
Yes.
you're like one of the first few comics I met in the city when I moved here.
Oh, right.
Ochi's Lounge.
Right, yes. I used to run, Tommy won't know this because he just moved here recently. I used to run 2 open mics at Ochi's Lounge.
Oh,
it was
wow.
the basement of Comics Comedy Club. You know how there's a Comics in Connecticut?
Yeah.
There used to be one on 14th Street and 9th Avenue.
With an X, right?
With an
Yeah.
X, yeah. Because it's like the extreme games of comedy clubs. There was snowboarding, skating, and stand-up comedy. But it was a great place. Like, it was where I came up. Like, I spent a lot of time there because I ran 2 mics there at one point, and I ran a Saturday show there. At first it was a Tuesday show, and then I ran a Saturday show there. And it was great because we used to have, it was like this basement room on your way to the bathrooms. That's what it was. But there was times we had more people downstairs than they had upstairs.
Oh, wow.
Like on a weekday, on like a Monday.
I felt like a scene down there.
It was a real scene. And Gaffigan would come down and do my open mic. It was a really fun vibe. So that's where I met you at first, right?
Yeah.
Did you come do the open mic? Is that what it was?
I think so.
Yeah.
I would do mics down there.
Yeah.
And then comics was like the first club that you could actually maybe get your foot in.
Yes.
And then by the time that happened, they closed down.
Yes, right, exactly. Well, they were really, really good people.
Yeah.
When they closed down, it was different owners, and there was this guy Harlan Happer, I think his name, Harper. Harlan, I forget his last name, but he is a good dude. I think he still does comedy promotions. He's a really good guy, and they ran it for like 5 years or something, and then I loved it. I ran a big St. Patrick's Day show there, and I was like, my favorite comic of all time is Patrice O'Neill, and Brian Boldinger got Patrice to do the show.
Wow.
I mean, the angle we had to have him on was like O'Neill, like St. Patrick's Day. Like we were like, all right, that works.
Oh, nice.
But I was like, I miss that place like every day. I have like a shrine to it in my house. No, I'm kidding. So we've known each other for a while. I think you're hilarious. Thank you for doing this. It's not necessarily defense today. It's Oscar season. I think we can break the format a little bit. I'd like to talk to you guys about, and it will kind of be a defense, I think. I'd like to talk to you guys about Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. Now, this might be the most controversial movie of the year.
It's uncomfortable sometimes. I've stopped arguing about it. And it's polarizing. Either you love it or you hate it.
Yes,
yeah.
It's one of those kind of things.
Yeah.
And that people are talking the most about this movie. And it's so funny because when it came out, I didn't think it would do that much. Like, it kind of did. I have friends of mine who hate it. Like, I know a lot of people who hate it, but I also know people who love it.
Mm-hmm. It was a very cool trailer. I don't know if you remember seeing the trailer.
Yes.
But I was so excited for it.
Me too. I was watching like, this will be a cool indie movie. But also, Let's start with this. What would you classify the movie as? If you had to put it into a category, what would you call it? Because while I was watching, I just saw it, so I haven't even been able to sink in enough yet, but I thought about it a little bit, and I think I know what I would classify it as. Because I think that becomes the problem when you're dissecting the movie. I think people don't know what to pigeonhole it as, because they're like, well, is it a drama? Is it a comedy? Is it, So what would you classify it as if you had to for like IMDb or something?
I would think it's a dark comedy.
I was going to say black comedy.
Yeah.
Black comedy, yes. That's what I got. But here's the thing. It's like, it's weird now. The way the movies are now, sometimes you'll have a full-on drama that could also go in the category. Because there was, like, the jokes were few and far between. But there was jokes there. And there was weirdness there that were meant to be jokes.
I felt like it was a play.
Yeah, it kind of had that vibe to it.
It did. And then I found out the screenwriter is a playwright.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, Martin McDonough.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
He's
And
gonna
also,
play.
it's weird. It took place in Missouri. Did you feel like it had especially the opening felt Irish, very super Irish?
Yeah,
Like the
yeah.
music was Irish, and then the rest of the movie was kind of it had an Irish vibe to it.
Old
I don't know if
Francis
he's
McDormand.
So my point is, so it's a really polarizing movie. I think the minute you say it's a dark comedy, for me, what that does is it makes me like it better.
Okay.
It makes if you tell me it's a dark comedy, the absurdity of it, I forgive that more than you might if they were like, oh, they were trying to make a high drama, which not a high drama, that's like Shakespeare type shit. But I mean, like, they were trying to make a intense. If you were like, this is an intense drama, and that's why it's nominated for an Oscar, I'd be like, what? It's not. That's what I was kind of expecting. I was expecting an intense drama that had light moments. And what this is a weird, dark comedy with super intense, dramatic moments, but that didn't pull it off.
A lot of tonal shifts that were...
Yes.
Yes.
And it disconnects.
Yes,
Too.
for
And
sure.
character continuity issues, too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You mean as far as them acting like they would act?
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Well, first of all, the racist cop played by
Sam Rockwell.
Sam Rockwell. Who's awesome.
He's great. And
Sam Rockwell.
Yeah.
Oh, Faith and Begone, Sam Rockwell.
I wish they played it like that.
I never explained it.
Yeah. So it's just like, this movie is crazy.
He comes in with like a shillelagh.
Yeah.
Oh, Sam Rockwell.
Well, I don't know. I guess part of it was like, if he's supposed to be like this highly racist cop, it was weird that he, the beginning of the movie when he was getting sassed by one of the few black characters in the movie, he didn't do anything, and he is supposed to be known as the racist shitty cop that's done some really horrible things. He didn't do anything. He just let the guy talk to him. Probably like sassed him a little bit.
The guy
In the very, very beginning, when the billboards.
The billboards,
yes.
right. That guy, I thought the implication was supposed to be like, I thought it was going to turn out he was the guy, yeah, I remember you because you tortured me, and you just don't remember that you tortured me.
Yeah.
Or it was my brother you tortured. Like, I thought, also, that's a plot line that didn't pay off.
No, and that, I only realized that in hindsight when you're like, well, then wait a minute about this. And then I just thought it was weird for Sam Rockwell to throw out the white guy out of the window and nobody did anything. If this is supposed to be a shitty town against black people, then I was like, why is he being so mean to the white guy? Yeah, even though he's the one that was putting up the billboards.
Well, I think it was like, that's another weird thing about it. The racism part of it was like, it was almost like that was a punchline. Like, they were like almost making it like, they just kept bringing up like, they're like, at one point when she says, this is later in the movie, but she says, hey, how's the N-word torture business going? Whatever. And he was like, and the joke was, he goes, it's people of color torture business. And I actually thought that was kind of funny. It was just like how dumb he is.
Yeah.
But it almost was sprinkled throughout. It wasn't supposed to be a racist town. I think they were supposed to be like racist cops. What that was trying to do, that's where the disconnect happened. Because what happens is, you're trying to bring a political issue into a weird comedy, and you're not pulling it off, and you're also not sticking to it.
But he's also, I think a problem is that the writer's not from America, so he doesn't understand
Is he
racism
from
in
Ireland?
America the way we do. Yeah, he's like a full...
Okay. Yeah. It's almost, that actually makes more sense too now that you said that. I didn't know that either. Because it looks like, it's basically like what somebody from outside of America
would think
is a Missouri town is like. Mm-hmm. But with the weirdness in there. So like, I kind of liked it because I think this is why I liked it, because some of it was so awkward. I don't know if it was unintentional or not. I'm like, that is how probably some of that would go down in these towns. Like, these conversations about race, and they're like, you know, that guy saying that dumb trope type thing. But, like, the movie wasn't about racism. That's the whole point. Like, it was almost, he just threw that in there because it's almost like this fucking Mick was like, oh, they're racist over there. No, they don't like the blacks. And it's like, fuck you guys. You Irish don't like black people.
Yeah.
It's like, great. No. Like, that's, you know, you have racism in your country too, but like, that's what I think it was. I think he was like, hey, I'm making a movie that takes place in America. I better throw this race thing in there.
Yeah, there was a lot of those moments. First of all, there was like a lot of great speeches about stuff where I was like, that felt like kind of not point of the movie, but... Like with the priest.
That made no freaking sense.
You're like, that's a fun monologue to do for your theater class, but I don't feel like it fit in the movie in a weird... It just lacked a flow and like...
It was almost like... Okay, I think what it was supposed to be was like... it was almost like Twin Peaks or something, where you're like, oh, welcome to this weird town, and she's supposed to be social progressiveness. I think she's supposed... Not that I'm saying... It might not get this deep, but I'm saying, like, because she's dealing with race stuff. Like, oh, you're torturing the black guy. Oh, you don't like gays. You don't like this. You don't like that. And then with the priest, well, you fuck... You know, your friend's fucking a kid in the basement, and you're upstairs reading the paper. You're at fault. And it's like... Okay, so where does this go now? So now you're just insulting the priest. Like, she wasn't like...
It was being nice?
It wasn't clever. Yeah. It wasn't like... If she was getting the priest to leave... I think she was trying to get the priest to leave. Like, she was just trying to be irreverent, like, the whole time. But it wasn't like she was being irreverent and she was right. Like, that's the other thing. When you watch the trailer, you're like, oh, she's the hero of the movie. That's what I thought the movie was about. I thought it was about her finding her daughter's killer because...
That's what I wanted.
Conspiracy. That's what I wanted. Because there was a conspiracy among the police department and they didn't want to solve the case.
I thought it was going to be that. Maybe, I don't know.
That's why I thought it was drama.
What I went through that, and that's why I was like, what is this?
Yes, it was not even close to that. And they really screwed up because what happened was... And maybe this is the point of it, and you could say this is bad storytelling, or what you can say is they made her. They didn't make her like there was no hero. She wasn't the hero. She was just kind of an asshole. Like
she was a horrible person.
Yeah, she wasn't a good. I think her whole thing was like. It's weird. The one thing I thought could have gone a good. This movie went off the rails so many times. One thing that could have been good is like. Oh my God, if the plot was I was trying to do something good and then everything went off the rails and all this bad stuff happens.
I was going to expose cancer in society, but it didn't.
It didn't. What it did was this guy got killed. This guy killed himself. My friend is dead. And but it didn't. You didn't have that feeling. You weren't sitting there going. You weren't going, oh, this is actually pretty cool. Like her putting those billboards up put all this crazy shit in motion, which it did. And it did, but it didn't pay off. It didn't turn around and go, she learned some valuable lesson. And then, like, I think they tried to show you that when she's reading the letter from Woody Harrelson, Willoughby. Yeah. When she's reading a letter from him, and he's like, those were kind of funny. Like, he was talking very matter of fact about being dead. It was suicide notes. It was also, I thought it was kind of funny. I thought they were going to play on the gag that he wrote like 50 suicide notes. Yeah. That's kind of funny. Like, that's funny if they would have done it for 3 more people. And he'd be like, how many notes?
Oh,
and then somebody made a line about how many notes did this guy write? You know, like, but they didn't even do that. Like, maybe that's too on the nose. But like, when she's reading the letter, I remember thinking, I'm like, oh, this is the whole thing. And she's like learning some lesson, but she's not. Yeah. And because the thing is this, you're like, there was no villain and there was no hero. Like even Sam Rockwell wasn't a villain. He was just an idiot. Like there was no, and you could say like, oh, in real life, that's really what happens. But like, even Sam Rockwell, I'm like, when he redeemed himself, it's like, you still threw a dude out the window 10 minutes before this.
Horribly.
Yeah. I really think they put that in because it looked cool. And it did, you know what I mean? Like, it did look really cool.
Well, it was also very stylistic. They show that's one of the things I noticed while I was watching it. They shoot him from like up above the stairs as he's going up the stairs. It looked really cool. Yeah. And then he throws him, and then his girl, I guess his girlfriend that works with him in the advertising place, is like, she calls him a pig, right? She's like, you fucking pig! Yeah. It's like this weird scene. It's really weird. And then he punches the girl in the face. So he just becomes this complete. I don't know if is he supposed to be drunk at that very moment? Was he drinking at the station house?
Remember.
Because he punches her. He's inconsolable. I think the whole scene with him, when he finds out that Willoughby, who's played by Woody Harrelson, kills himself, he's inconsolable. He faints. They make a reference to him that he faints, and he's getting up, and he's crying. There's also a weird thing where he's hugging him. You almost be like, is he supposed to be gay? Like, that's the other thing, too. Yeah. There was a moment where he's hugging one of the other cops, and I'm like, almost like almost in a weird thing like this, you can almost see them putting a scene in where he tries to kiss somebody when he's in that vulnerable
I
state.
say, why not?
Yeah, at this point.
Go for it.
Fuck it, right? At that point, yeah, forget it.
Yeah.
So the point is, it's like, to answer the question, like, is this a good movie? I guess the more you think about it, you're like, no. But if you go by traditional, even if you go by, a lot of movies are weird now. Even if you go by weird movie standards, like you want there to be an arc, you want there to be, and this thing just went off. It was just shooting off. It just went off.
It was all over the place.
Went all over the place.
I mean,
and it's like, I feel like if I don't write screenplays, I feel like I would be like a first time screenplay writer would write something like this. Like, oh, I'm kind of bored with this plot line. Let's just start this, or let's just introduce a character that you never know the name of that becomes the
and
bad
then
guy.
drop a plot line somewhere.
Yeah.
I just felt like it felt like a rough draft.
Yeah,
me.
that's definitely a great point. It does.
That, like maybe it could have been better if you if you wrote some more, or like.
Well, to have a scene, when I walked out of the theater, the two scenes that stuck out the most is like, I can't believe this made it to the movie, where Frances McDormand going like, well, I hope you do get raped the day before her daughter gets raped.
That's a TV movie. That's a TV movie.
Yeah.
That's such a fucking, come on. That's what I'm saying. You're going to have a weird thing where she has her slippers talking to each other, and then you're going to have a scene where she's like, oh my God, this is the exact wrong thing I shouldn't have said.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's a movie. That's at 101. That's like movie making 101 right there.
And then also the other one was the other black character in the movie, her friend at the shop, who literally has a line where she says, "You go, girl." You put up those billboards. And I'm like, come on.
Yeah.
In a movie that's like commenting on race, that's the line we're giving her. Like,
And it was weak.
Even that scene where she's putting up the replacements. She's putting up, because somebody burns the billboards down. If you've seen the movie,
which also looked very cool.
It looked really cool. Yeah. Actually, that was that was the best visual. They had a great shot of her running from billboard to billboard, and they took it from far away, and it looked great.
I thought that was the best visual in the movie.
It was a great visual. It was really, really cool, and it was also that one shot was very Coen-like, and because my friend, Pat Stango, who you guys have heard on the show. He said it was like a wannabe Coen Brothers movie that just failed. And I'm like, it kind of did, but like really failed. Like to the point of unrecognizability. Like to the point of where you're like, oh, you see the bone structure of what would have been a Coen Brothers movie, but they would have done it so much better. You know what I'm saying? This story, whatever it was. It just doesn't, I think it just, you needed... If you watch movies, you're used to certain beats. But if you watch enough movies, you're fine with weird stuff in movies.
Yeah.
You're fine with weird plots, weird turns, weird. You know, the Woody Harrelson killing himself in the movie. I'm like, that was supposed to be a surprise. Like, you're fine with that kind of stuff, but at least give me like something substantial. Because even that scene you just mentioned, where the girl, the black woman, she comes and she sees her. She gets out of jail because she's in jail for like a third of the movie.
Yeah.
She goes to jail because they're trying to mess with Frances McDormand and the cops because they want to take down the billboards. And they go, and Sam Rockwell's mom is like, "Get through France," you know, like whatever. She's like this.
You
girl,
could
this
have
old
arrested
redneck.
Frances McDormand
for sure.
Right? Yeah, exactly. That's right. Then they did. They were going to, and then. When she did the dentist thing, it's like, yeah, she just should have stayed arrested.
She just assaulted a guy that did nothing to her.
Exactly, exactly.
That was crazy.
But then what happens is, when her friend, the black woman, when she comes back and they're by the billboards and they're putting the new ones up, like the replacements, that feeling when she's getting out of the car has a resolution feeling. It has like, hey, we're putting the billboards back up, and that's the end of the movie. And that's what I'm saying. You had a bunch of scenes like that in this movie that you were like, not even a bunch of scenes, but this one in particular, I was like, oh, is this going to start being the third act? Is this the part where she's like, she puts the billboards up and she kind of like, they're just up for, I don't know what it would have been. You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of the scene in Happy Gilmore where they go to the house at the end and they get the house back and they go in and they park the car and they get out and they're like, hey, what's up, man? Like they meet up. Like it was this weird, like, happy scene in the middle of stuff that was still fucked up that was going on. Because the stuff with the rapist guy hadn't happened yet and like there was still like one more act to go.
What's funny is I think Happy Gilmore is more racially progressive than Three Billboards, just based on his relationship with Chubbs.
Yeah, it goes against stereotypes too, because Chubb's a golfer. famous black golfer. There's only one of those, right? Tiger Woods. But
he's only half.
But I don't know. I just think it's one of those things where I watch it. I think I have this thing of like I watch it and I watched it objectively. I watched it where I wanted to like it. And the more I'm talking about it, I realize it's like, this didn't make sense. That didn't make sense. That didn't pay off. Like, they bring back the kid from the black dude from the beginning. They bring him back towards the end, but he's just there to help her out. Like,
Yeah.
his relationship with Sam Rockwell never pays off. He just actually, there's a part where in the bar, Sam Rockwell gets his ass kicked and he comes to his aid. I guess that was the payoff. It was like, oh, even though I know you're fucked up and you tortured and beat a black dude, I'm still gonna help you at the end of this. But that dude was never around the whole movie, so you didn't care if he.
Yeah.
They didn't follow through at all on a lot of stuff. So you're right. So maybe it was like play rules where it was like almost like these little one acts that were just thrown together,
but not tied together nicely.
It's not cohesive. Yeah.
It wasn't. I don't understand the point of the alleged rapist just showing up at the gift shop if he had nothing to do with anybody there.
I think the whole idea was like I think that was another shoddy storytelling where they're like, oh, we have to add something to the finding the rapist storyline.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be we're gonna make it pay off in a dramatic way, but him not being the guy. But we're gonna throw this in there so that that's resolution for the rapist story. So it's like, hey, it's like he is a rapist, but he's not the rapist that we want to catch.
Well, did you stay for the post-credit scene? It turns out it was Peter Dinklage who was the rapist. They don't tell you till after. Not a lot of people knew that.
Oh my god! Then fucking Peter Dinklage, who's such a good actor, that guy.
There's so much.
There's so much.
I'm like, there's so much of it we haven't even.
Why did you
touched on
agree to do this movie? Did you want people to rip on you for half an hour?
Yeah, Peter Dinklage, that whole thing too, where he's like into her, and then like
he's the nicest character in the movie.
She's so mean to him.
Yeah, and that's like just a bad version of the John Lovitz scene from Happiness. You ever see Happiness?
Oh, I love Happiness.
Oh, it's such a fucked up movie. In the beginning, where he goes, "You're shit, and I'm champagne," and he brings her to the dinner to like break up with her. Like that was supposed to be like a thing where she's very vocal about it. She doesn't want to date a midget. They could say midget a million times. I think that's another thing that was happening in the movie. Like, you were supposed to watch it. It was a very Hollywoodish kind of thing because you're supposed to watch it and go, they keep saying midget.
Yeah.
Oh my god, look how
Does he not know?
What are you? Right, exactly. Where it's like they keep saying midget. And like, no, but I mean like the political correctness part of it, where you're like, oh my god, look how badass this movie is.
Yeah.
That they're just these people. They don't care. They just say midget. They don't care, or retard. Or they don't care. I think that was supposed to be the shock factor, but you don't care enough for that to be the shock factor. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
Like the script, there's certain things thrown in, like when she says the N-word, like that, where you're like, whoa. Like when she said it, I was like, Jesus. Like you don't think of her saying that. Like she doesn't seem like that she would say that word. But she's not. That's what I'm saying. They almost didn't go with her character. There's a great, what's the thing? Not Mrs. Winterbourne. What's it called? It was on HBO. It was Frances McDormand. It was I told you about it, didn't I? I told somebody about it.
I watched it. I thought it was kind of boring.
I
liked
watch it, but I know you're talking
I didn't
the,
commit too hard to
her
it.
character in that is way more of a hard ass than the character in this.
Okay.
I think it's a more well-rounded character, and I think it's also more consistent. Like if you're gonna be fucking like she had her moments. She had her moments where she was like vulnerable and she was being kind and she was whatever, but like she wasn't. I don't know, just these weird scenes like that. When she says that word, I'm like, yeah, but earlier she doesn't seem like she would say that. Like she seemed like she was past that because nobody else says it the rest of the freaking movie. So it's not like this. And also her saying it, it's like, are you throwing that into the whole racial aspect of the movie? And because there really is none. There's part of the movie that's like that, like with the Billboard guy and everything. But there's not, like, there's a million different themes that some of them pay off, some of them don't. You know, I don't know. I just think that, but I think what really, why we get so confused is because they have so many good actors in the movie.
They are.
sure.
I think and I think the performance was good.
Yeah.
That was captivating, so that kept me in it. But yeah. It was just like the writing and the
writing's
plot
definitely
lines
the problem,
and the character continuity.
Woody Harrelson
I just
is like too
faded
charming
out.
like Woody Harrelson, no matter what he does, I'm gonna be like, he was great. Like it doesn't matter. It's Woody Harrelson. Like he's always great.
He was awesome.
But even that was weird. Like I remember talking to Mike Lawrence about it, and he was like, first of all, his wife is too hot to be in this city.
Well, that's what
She may have been in St.
Australian.
Louis. Yeah.
I was wondering about that too. And she's English also, or she's Irish or English.
I think she's Australian. Is the
Yeah.
Oh, is she Australian?
just inexplicably like they
Inexplicably
never.
Australian, which is could be
That
kind of
happens.
I'll
let that fly.
They're sister
right.
cities.
It could be kind of cool if it was a better movie. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, but then you're like, that's another random thing that they're like, oh, he just did that. Like, he didn't,
Didn't care.
didn't care.
They gave her like one dramatic scene too, where she's just like, "My husband wrote you a letter." What the fuck is this?
And the way he talks when they're talking before he shoots himself. Yeah. The language
what
that
the-
he uses is so weird to me. I'm like,
Well, there you go. That's
this is conversation he's having before he's about to blow his head off. Like, that's insane to me.
And also, he's so at home with the idea of killing himself. He writes a million letters, and he also talks about
I
it.
think he would have worked it out by the time he was on his fifth letter. Like, you know what?
Maybe I just shouldn't do this.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people.
It's cathartic.
Hang out with my friends some more before I kill myself.
Yeah, don't you want to see what they respond?
Yeah, it's like Jesus Christ. It's like, and also, like, who writes letters anymore?
Yeah. It
But
would have been
he-
an email.
Yeah, just send him an email. Shoot him a text.
Three
But
emails outside.
You're right.
of
Yeah, but it's three emails outside of it. Sorry. But you're right. It's one of those things. You're like, if you're writing that much to people and you're that lucid and that level-headed, if you're that level-headed, why are you doing it?
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah.
mean? Like, come on. Like, there's also, they didn't, like, that just the suicide part just comes out of nowhere.
I guess that was probably supposed to be,
The
you know,
point.
in the hour mark, there's always a shift in the movie.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming that was probably it, and I just couldn't figure out what we're shifting to.
I think you could, like I was saying earlier, what you could say is that you were shifting to the wheels falling off and these billboards causing just complete havoc in the town.
Yeah.
And saying that makes it seem better than it was.
Okay,
then
yeah.
Then you can go, anything weird that happens the rest of the movie, you just chalk it up to the billboard thing, and then you go, that was on purpose. Like, almost like logic didn't matter after the billboards went
Yeah.
up. Or after he killed himself. That was like, almost like, if you do like a... I was talking to the other day about Paul Thomas Anderson movies, Goodfellas and
the
Boogie Nights.
80s and Boogie Nights when it just totally shifts.
Which one?
Oh, yeah. They're the
Right,
same
the
movie
80s, yeah.
almost.
Yeah, and Goodfellas and Boogie Nights, they have the
very
same
similar.
shift. Somebody was mentioning that the other day. I'm like, you're absolutely right. I think it was like that was their moment for them.
Yeah.
where it was like, now it's going to shit, but it didn't.
But they didn't pull it off.
They
But
didn't
it
pull
was
off.
already shit beforehand.
Yeah, it was already shit beforehand, and also like I said, like she had too many irons in the fire. Like she would like giving him shit about the beating of the black dude, which that never paid off either. You never found out what the reason behind that was. He was just ambiguously racist, but like he's the only one on the force that was supposed to be so racist, and then he's just does that really messed up thing, throwing that dude out the window. And then redeems himself like so shortly afterwards.
Yeah.
It was so thrown together.
Yeah, yeah.
It just didn't like you didn't have time to like be like, now I like him. You know, the way they did that, they almost sped it up by having him get burned. Then when they got him get burnt, they're like, now I have sympathy for this burn victim and I like him better. That's what happened.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I'd be like, he's still a racist prick.
Yeah.
He's still tortured a dude.
You're like, good.
Yeah. You're like, good.
Rather than
yeah.
like, oh.
Yeah, but yeah, normally like burn. Who gives a fuck? You know,
Yeah.
whatever. And then also I noticed there's technical things that happen. Like they had to figure out why he would get burned in the police department, like when she throws the Molotov cocktails.
Oh, yeah,
so
he didn't hear anything.
The headphone thing.
Yeah.
Not enough.
So they had to put a scene of him when the captain kills himself. He has his headphones on. He's just dancing around with his headphones. I'm like, come on, you're just throwing
He looks
that in.
silly.
You look fucking
It
silly.
looks silly.
It's like a horror movie, and they're like, wow, it's so weird. There's no cell phone service here. And
Yeah.
they're like really clear about it. Yeah.
yeah.
Plot
very,
device.
yes,
Yeah.
very over the top. Be like, I guess nobody's around.
Yeah.
And you're like, what? Yeah. Oh, the cars that ran out of gas.
We're right near the chainsaw factory?
That was like in Wayne's World when you're like, that was a weird amount of information that we were just given. I hope that doesn't come up later in the movie.
Right, exactly.
That's what that bopping around with the music was for sure.
That was what it was. It was like, why are they showing him with a weird song bopping around? It's like, oh, he'll need those headphones later to get burnt and for us to love him. Because also, I thought it was, at first I'm like, oh, it's just like he's an idiot. And because they're all hugging each other. I'm like, wouldn't he have known already? Like, then the timeline was messed up. You're like, you feel like they went to his house and everything, or they went,
his relationship with his mom was weird. I think that was supposed to make us like him. Don't you think?
I think,
but I was confused by it.
I think what the relationship with his mom was, that
so
was weird. I think what it was supposed to show is that's where he gets the asshole part.
Okay.
Like, I think she was supposed to be an asshole, but also not. They were supposed to be two peas in a pod. Like, they were the same.
Yeah.
Because she was an asshole, but also she cared about him.
Yeah.
So, like a mom, that's every mom, I guess, But I think that's what, I think he wasn't getting his ideas himself. Like, when she says, go to her friends.
Yeah.
Go through, whatever it is. And then she shows up and she's like, ooh, your mom's coaching you. It's also like, how'd you figure that out? Like, but she pegs him. Basically, he's a schmuck. He's a dummy. And he needs somebody to tell him what to do. When he takes a stand, or if something out of character happens, that's what the whole point of that was.
Yeah.
So basically, it was his mom being like, oh, you're influenced by your mom. And your mom's half an asshole. She's just this old, cranky old redneck, So, or like, even when they mentioned race with her, when he mentioned, even them on the porch, they bring up race, and he goes, the South has changed, and she goes, oh, it shouldn't have. And that's all they say. That's all they say. It's like, well, what do you mean? What are you saying? Like, say something else to that effect. Like, also, this movie's not about race, pretty much. Mm-hmm. And it's also not about a rape. It is, but it isn't. But then it's not about a guy who didn't commit the rape that they're just going to go kill anyway. It's like,
what is this movie about?
It's a great question.
Yeah, exactly. So
I think it's about the deer. I think the deer is actually the main character.
That's another thing. The deer scene.
The goofy ass CGI deer.
The deer scene. It's so, you want to talk about over the top and so in your face and so just 1, 2, 3. When she's like, you didn't come here to make me believe in reincarnation. It's like, oh, are you putting what normally would be in the movie on its head?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you're switching it. She's so direct. She's so in your face. She just tells that deer, you're not my daughter. She'll be dead forever. Oh, it's so dark. Which would have been better is a scene of her just watching the deer, like Michael Clayton, which is an unbelievable movie. Michael Clayton is in my top 3, probably my top 3.
Oh,
probably
wow.
number 3. It's such a good movie. The acting is so fucking good. And there's the scene. You ever see it?
No, I never saw it.
Oh my god, you gotta watch it. There's a scene with horses where he goes up and he just he's just so, everything's so overwhelming. He randomly sees these horses in the middle of the field, like in New Jersey or whatever he's in, or upstate New York, and he goes up to the horses. And there's a plot point that happens, and I'm not going to ruin it for you guys, but he's just watching the horses, and it's this cool, like, there's no sound in this part of the scene, and then something happens in the movie, and that's a catalyst for something else. But it's a cool thing where you're like, oh, this is a peaceful moment that he's having, trying to calm himself down. That would be better if there was no words and she just looked at the deer, and you got, I don't know, cool music or just no sound. Yeah. I'm not trying to rewrite it. I'm just saying.
I think they should rewrite it.
Yeah.
I would love to see it again 2 years from now.
That would be so funny to send him like a passive-aggressive note, like, really good first try, Martin. Let's see what you can do with it.
I wrote some notes.
Hit the mics. And
listen, lad, you fucked up on the movie. Martin!
You had a couple too many pints.
Yeah, that's like, it'd be like me if I was drunk and wrote a movie. Yeah. But that's where I think it comes down to. I think it comes down to, it's one of those things, it's almost worse than a regular bad movie. Because a regular bad movie, like, that was just a bad movie, and it knew it was a bad movie almost, and they probably put it out knowing that this is it might win the Oscar for best movie.
Yeah, I was actually, when the Golden Globes, annoyed that it got, it won like
a
Francis
lot.
won.
Did it win Best Picture?
I think it did. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
it won Best Picture?
It was like...
Oh, so it might win for Best Picture.
But
Best
how?
Oscar.
It's crazy.
That's my thing is, like, it's Hollywood. You guys have seen a ton of movies.
That's why. Because there's no... here's the thing. No matter how much I don't like Donald Trump, they're not wrong. Like, they're not wrong. Like, I thought... This is my problem with I, Tonya that I brought up. Like, anything that's rednecky or Midwest, Midwestern or like South that they do, if they're not, the person's not from there. I've never really seen many movies that are like it, except for like Gummo maybe.
Yeah.
But like, I, Tanya, their idea of what Tanya Harding was in the 80s is like cool hipsters fucking, like basically you could put them now and they'd be like on a magazine. You know what I'm saying? Like they could be on a runway. Like the clothes they were wearing were like these perfect 80s stylized clothes, which you know that's not what she was wearing. She was wearing what me and my sisters were wearing in their 80s. You know, her and her husband. You know what I'm saying? So like, what Hollywood does is like, yeah, we're making this movie, but like you're trying, like you're not making it actually for real. You're not making how it would have actually looked back then. That's why I like Stranger Things, because Stranger Things looks cool, but those kids dress how people dressed in 83. That nailed 83 and look
just like
and talked
physically, not even like style wise, just like there's a look to it that you were like, feels nostalgia to me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's what I said about. That's why I loved it so much, because I was like, they nailed 1983, and also movies back then. Kids talked like adults, and they talk like adults in that movie. It's crazy. And they have adult problems in the movie.
Yeah.
My favorite thing is Frances McDormand she won Best Actress at like the Screen Actors Guild Awards, and she starts to make her speech, and everyone's been talking this year about like in movies representation, like, you know, black kids getting to see Black Panther and like getting to see themselves on the screen, and she goes on stage and starts her speech. She goes, representation. Our agents, our managers. So everyone thinks she's going to make this powerful speech about like people seeing themselves on screen.
That's hilarious.
It's so funny, but she's like totally.
It's not on
no. She's being sincere. Like she's like, our managers are so important.
Well, the rumor is
we
she might
really do
not be
need more representation.
It's my favorite thing.
The rumor is she might not be the best person in the world. I've heard that
like a
before.
loon.
I've heard that she's not the nicest person, but I don't know that. Allegedly, I've heard that. Representation.
So funny.
So everybody's like they have the
Well, people kind of start to applaud when she says the word representation, and not knowing that she's going. It's so great.
It's so funny. Representation. Harvey Weinstein, thank you so much.
It will be an interesting Oscars this year. I wonder how much it'll be talked about in the monologue. Like Golden Globes did a lot.
It's Jimmy Kimmel. I think he's going to be talked about
Of Harvey Weinstein?
Yeah,
I think they should do that. I think they absolutely should do that. They should talk about him as much as they can.
I didn't realize it was Kimmel.
Kimmel's hosting, yeah.
That's great.
Right?
He did it last year, right?
I think so.
Yes, for
Yeah.
sure, because he was there for the.
Did you see, really quickly as a side note, did you John Mulaney and Nick Kroll are hosting the IFC Awards?
They're so funny when they host.
They're the best.
They're so hilarious.
They're hilarious.
I didn't see
Oscars.
their Conan. Are you going to talk about their Conan bit? I haven't seen it
The
yet.
Conan bit, they had them as like...
Hipster millennial comics.
No, like not even millennial comics, like just millennial, just douchebags that dress like with like the scarves and the hat. We have to watch it. It's the best.
I just saw a still of it where Kroll's just sitting on a chair like you're not supposed to sit on a chair. But like cool as a cucumber.
He's sitting on the top, the headrest of the chair. His butt's on the headrest.
Where you
His feet are on the seat. Yeah,
when you see someone doing, you're like, I fucking hate you.
Yeah. That they were the biggest douches.
Yeah.
And then to the point where John Mulaney's like, he goes, we hosted last year, and he's like, and for us, it's just a day. It was just a day. For you, it was a really important thing, but for us, it was just a day. For all of you, it was the most important things in your lives, but for us, it was just a day. It was just a day. And then at one point, Nick Kroll's hat falls off, and then he goes, and then Conan goes, oh, we got it, and then they both go, just let it happen, man.
Oh my god,
it's so
that's so funny.
It's so fucking. You have to watch it. It's so freaking good. Anyway, so back to the movie. I think we're all in consensus. This isn't a defense. I think. Like I said, I think you could defend it as a weird, dark comedy, but I don't think there's enough of it in there to get to that point. Like, there's the point where she has her bunny slippers talking to each other. There's also a rabbit thing in there. I guarantee you, this fucking guy has some symbolism with rabbits, because the rapist guy comes to her store, her gift shop that she works at, and he goes, how much for the rabbit? She goes, $7, and he throws it at her, and she's like, what do you want? And then he's like, maybe I'm friends with Willoughby. Maybe I raped your daughter. And he's supposed to be this mysterious villain or whatever.
Yeah.
I think I figured it out.
What?
Rabbit, Easter, the daughter comes back to life.
Oh shit! The daughter of Jesus Christ.
Yep.
Oh my god.
Solved it.
All right.
Wow.
Now, I'm going to scrap this episode.
Yeah, we love
Now it's a good movie.
We love it.
Any movie where the daughter is Jesus Christ at the end. But actually, you're not 100% wrong, because I think you're right, because the billboards went up on Easter.
Oh, do they really?
Yes, they
wow.
do. So that might have been what he did.
Oh, man.
God, what a fucking... It's Hollywood trying not to be Hollywood. It's when you're in Hollywood for too long, probably. I don't know how long this Martin guy's been in there, but when you're in Hollywood for too long, probably, and you can't make something that's actually for real.
Yeah.
Like, because here's the thing: if you would have made it just a very just straight lined, I am dealing with the death of my daughter movie,
Yeah.
this would have been 1,000 times better. With the weirdness happening in the town.
And kicking up dirt of like other
Yeah.
issues, weak issues in the town, then that would have been
Absolutely.
great. But
Yeah,
like
seeing through the,
it was just wedging shit in there, and you're
Yes.
just like, "What are you doing?"
Yes.
Yeah.
Through the eyes of you trying to find justice for your daughter, you're seeing like, oh, there's also all these other injustices going on.
Yeah.
But it would have made more sense if it was more linear. If it was
Yeah.
more linear, you would have been like, oh, yeah, that's commenting on the South. And that's probably what he was doing. I don't know where he's from,
But it's, as you said, it's like, it does seem like an outsider trying to make a statement of what race or what's happening in America. And you're like, that is, I can understand from your outside perspective, but there's nuances too. And people are complicated and it's not so black and white sometimes. And I just feel like he
Right.
missed a lot of stuff like that, and where it felt like a play because everything was over the top.
Right, and it was just brought up. Yeah, like the level of how people were talking to each other was not. It just didn't ring organic. It didn't ring like how I would. That's what I'm saying. You could say, well, that's what the weird, absurdist part of it was like, and also the awkwardness would be how real life was, like how, like that, like Sam Rockwell is so awkward in this movie, but then there's also very direct things that happen. Like he's very awkward, and he redeems himself at the end. Like the letter that he sends that Willoughby, Woody Harrelson sends to Sam Rockwell. He's literally, it's like, it's too on the fucking nose, where he's like, I always thought you'd be a good cop, whatever his name is, Dixon. And he goes, I always thought you should follow the path and become what you're supposed to be, a detective. Now, where the fuck was that earlier in the movie? Where did he show him, I'm a racist asshole, but also I have these detective, like, there should have been one moment where he helped something in early on, where he showed himself, I'm going to redeem myself at the end of this. That's normally what would happen.
Yeah, instead he lacked any instinct to be a detective whatsoever. So, character
We know
continuity.
detectives dancing around in their headphones all the time.
Yeah, right, exactly. And then they show him reading the letter, and then what happens? He just becomes a detective.
Yeah.
He's getting DNA from the guy. Remember that?
smart
Oh my
now,
God, what about that? Also, asshole, I've watched enough SVU. I know your DNA is mixed with his DNA. There's no way.
Yeah.
You know,
It'd be fun if they were like, I'm the rapist. I didn't know.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
He just realized it.
Yeah.
He's like, you know what? Why am I doing this?
I wonder why they hate me. Oh my God.
Yeah. Why didn't torture a black guy? I raped her daughter.
Yeah.
It's like, it just becomes this weird, like, what?
That's why I'm like, can you just let us have that be what happened? You know, like, I wish they would have just given that the DNA
That was
was
the
in,
guy.
and that
Yeah.
was the guy, and then we could be like, let's go get that motherfucker.
I felt the same way, and that could be the same ending. Just them in the car going to get him. We don't have to see him. But like,
And it
could
would
have been the
have
same
been
ending. Yeah,
It would have maybe have ground. I don't know. It would have made the movie a little bit
I wanted that
better
also.
to me. Yeah.
It would have been, for this movie, it was too straightforward to do that.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you this much, the way they did, while I'm watching the ending and the song's kicking in, and I thought when they were packing up and stuff, they were going to end it there. Like, it was like, I thought it was going to be a weird stop. But what they did was they waited until they were driving on the way to get the guy. That's the one redeemable part, that they didn't show them going
Totally, yeah.
to get the guy.
It's a good place to end, yeah.
And then also showing him redeemable, like, I didn't do anything, or doing, like, you don't even know what they're going to do to him. You can assume they're not going to kill him. They're going to go, who knows? Or you can assume they're going to kill him.
And call him a midget.
Thank God they didn't show a scene. Call him a midget. Yeah, exactly. Thank God they didn't have a scene where they go to the room and they kill him, but you don't know if the guy was the rapist or not. Then it just opens up a whole other can of worms.
Yeah.
There's another plot line that you just left hanging, and it's like, whatever.
What? Maybe they should just make it into a TV show, and
Yeah, just keep
I
telling
was watching
stories. Yeah.
Ebbing, Missouri. I will.
Yeah, I
Tie
know.
up some. There's so much to tie up that
Real
this would
Housewives
garner
of-
a whole series for myself.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah,
It's like, this is worse than tying up things than Lost was.
yeah.
And that was pretty shitty. Also, the title is a play title. That's a play title.
Yeah.
3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. That's like, oh my God, that sounds like
Yeah.
It's the
Dear Evan Hansen.
off Broadway. Yeah, right. And then we haven't talked about this, and he's a great actor too, and I forget his name. He's in a bunch of stuff. Her ex-husband. That's another weird scene. We can talk about that really quickly before we go.
Yes.
Hawkins.
Yeah, that was the comic
John
relief with
Hawkins?
the new young wife. Yeah, is that his name?
I think so,
Yeah,
right?
with Macy.
Isn't it John Hawkins?
John Hawkins.
Yeah.
And he's great.
He's a good actor.
First time I ever saw him was from Dusk Till Dawn. He plays the clerk at the place they blow up in the beginning.
Oh,
of
yeah.
He is such a good actor. Also, he's kind of playing against. It's weird. Like even he's playing against type a little bit in this because he's a fucking asshole in this. Like he's kind of a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And you always think of him as like kind of a goofy, funny, rednecky kind of guy. But the very first scene you see him, he comes in. That's another weird scene. But I also didn't mind
That family life was fucked.
Really fucked.
She's
Yeah.
really mean to the son, who's
Yeah.
being so nice.
Yeah.
Throws cereal in his face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Where
that
you're
was
like,
her
what
trying
an
to,
asshole.
That was an attempt at levity, and then he gets pissed.
Yeah, it
and
wasn't
then,
funny, though.
And then also, but then the other weird part is the son was like, "Dad's here," and he gets so excited. Remember that when he's like, "Dad's only got Dad. Hey, Dad." And then the dad doesn't even say that. He's like, "Where's the nut job? Where's the crazy old lady?"
Yeah.
And he goes inside. They argue. He flips the table.
Yeah.
Right away, grabs her fucking neck up against the wall. The son puts a knife to the neck.
And then it's
High
jokes.
drama moment.
And then jokes.
And then jokes.
Comedy relief.
Yes,
Yes.
exactly.
Yeah.
But what
Which
if
is
a lady was
like-
dumb?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's and then the 19-year-old
Have her
girlfriend.
be smart.
Yeah.
Who the one?
The 19-year-old girl. Or
Right.
at least not an idiot. Like, I don't find it wouldn't be that. I know what they're trying to do. Like, he's marrying the
19-year-old.
Yeah.
Right. But you know what? Having her be smart would have even added more layers. Like, you needed her to be one-dimensional. I swear to God, because there's too much stuff in this fucking movie.
Yeah.
Like if she was to be smart, you'd be like, oh, that's another aspect to it. It's like, well, how did they get together? It's like, it would have been a mess.
It's all like a bunch of stereotypes.
And to be honest,
Yeah.
you want to talk about the comedy aspect of this movie? She's one of the funniest parts about the movie.
Yeah.
Her little parts that she has are
plays
really
it
funny.
right,
She
yeah.
plays it really right. Yeah, it's really funny. And even there's a part where Frances McDormand goes on a date with the midget, which Peter Dinklage, which I shouldn't say midget again, and they're there, and then the husband comes over and tells her anger begets anger, and he goes, "Who told you that?" And she goes, his 19-year-old girlfriend told him that. She goes, and then Peter Dinklage is like, "She said begets?" That was funny too. I thought.
Yeah.
It was a funny scene, and then he goes over, and she goes over, and she goes, "Did you say begets?" And she goes, "Yeah, I read it on a bookmark." I'm like, that was kind of fun. Like, that's
not bad, yeah.
It's almost like they're trying. Here's the thing, man.
There's some jokes there's stuff that landed that I thought was funny.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Writing a movie's hard. That's what you realize with this movie. Writing a movie is hard. I've never done it. I've never written a movie. I would love to, but it's really, really hard.
Yeah.
And then this got made. I think what happens is this probably got made off the pretense of like, look how weird it is and different. And this guy's like some kind of playwright that's from Ireland, and he's probably has all these awards, and he's like,
Well, he did In Bruges.
And In Bruges, which is like a huge cult hit. And he did Seven Psychopaths.
I saw the movie.
Yeah.
Oh, he did In Bruges?
So he had
a lot of heat.
Heat, yeah.
In Bruges is.
Trust. People would trust him. I
Did he
think, for
direct
this
the movie
one.
In Bruges or no?
Yes.
Did he? I know he wrote it.
I think he wrote and directed.
That's how I
all
knew
of
his
them.
name. In Bruges is about 40,000 times better than this movie, and it went undetected.
Well, this
He
was
probably
supposed to be
took
like
10
his
years to
big
write it.
movie. Yeah,
This
like,
was?
because he had like his amazing indie successes, and then this was like, he finally got money. He finally got
this
big
is
actors.
still an indie. It's still an indie, you know?
But
All right. Well, you guys, this was fun.
It was. I'm intrigued. I want to hear other people that like it, though. I'm always
Moran
intrigued.
Kagani wrote to me. I wrote on social
yeah,
media.
yeah.
Talked to Moran. Moran wrote, "Brilliant!" And that's how he probably said it in his brain.
Yeah.
I didn't
That's
hate
how he
all of
told
it. I liked some of it. Yeah, like there were parts I really rolled my eyes at, but like I think those actors are so charismatic that like it's hard not to like them. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
happens. We're watching it going, I kind of have to like this because these
Yeah.
people are fucking legends and they're really good at their jobs.
And they're doing it. Yeah, they're not like bad performances.
And they're not
It's really the
half-assing
script.
it. They're
Yeah.
not. They're
Yeah.
not phoning it in at all. Like they're literally, and the even the thing with fucking Woody Harrelson. It's like the idea that he had cancer that was unnecessary.
Mm-hmm.
That whole giant plot line was unnecessary. With like is that just to make him sympathetic so that people get mad at her more that she's doing the.
Was that maybe just so he has an excuse to blow his brains out?
No, because you could have had him get shot in the line of duty, and then they find out he's dead in the middle of the movie.
Yeah, but what about all those letters?
Yeah, you need the letters.
And then you need the letters, right?
See, writing
Exactly.
movies is hard.
That's That's the feeling of this movie.
Yeah.
Where they're like, oh, we'll have this like they're in a room, and it's like, oh, we'll have them get shot by a robber, a scallywag.
That
We'll have them get
happens.
shot by a real scallywag. They go, but he can't write the letters, Martin. Oh, he has to write the letters. I forgot. I forgot about the letters.
How are you going to open a letter if no one writes it?
Well, I think we've realized we've shit on this movie enough. I think that we've realized it's not very good. I would love, please, I'll say this. We have an email, defendyourmovie@gmail.com. Tweet at any of us and let
Yeah.
us know why this is such a good movie. And I am willing to be convinced because I love the actor so much and I like the idea of doing weird stuff.
I also sometimes I do. I'm like, maybe I just didn't understand the big picture of it. Like, I would like to hear the guy that wrote it.
Yeah.
What was he going for? And maybe I'd be like, oh,
Right.
well, then you hit everything that you.
The other thing that happened with this movie is I think I'm I love actually organically cool
Same.
things in movies, like cool characters. They missed the mark with her being cool. They fucked up. She's not, you're not like, if you watch, all right, you ever watch Snatch? You ever see Snatch? All right, this is totally different, but I mean, like, the bad guy in Snatch is Bricktop. You ever watch Snatch?
It's been a
He
while.
is terrifying. He's a cool fucking character. That whole movie has cool characters throughout the whole thing. But they're like organically cool. We're like, that's badass. She's supposed to be badass in this, and she's not. And that's where I think it also misses the mark. Where I'm like, I think I'm good at sensing, like, oh, this is like really why I love movies because it's such a cool person that almost doesn't exist in reality.
Yeah, like Javier Bardem.
And No Control Man.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He's just sticking to his guns, and he just has a conviction, and that's all he needs.
Yep, and he's just with a badass with a stupid haircut.
Yeah.
That's fucking insane.
That is what I thought she would be in this movie from the trailer.
Yeah.
Just going
Right.
fucking
That hair
force.
shaved.
Yeah. If she was, it would be a very Cohen-ish movie, I think.
It would almost, right, exactly. If it was the unraveling of her, and her only mission was keeping these billboards up. It almost would have been better if like her whole mission was just keeping these billboards up because you know what I'm saying? Where it was just her guarding
various
them.
weather
It was her-
incidents.
yeah. There was a thunderstorm.
Birds.
Yeah, kids come with paintball guns.
Paintball gun scene would have been amazing. Yeah.
Especially to those signs, you're like, what a horrible kids. But still being kids.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. So I think I'm going to say, I started this thinking, like, I don't know if it's good. I don't think it's good. But please tweet at DefendYourMovie, defendyourmovie@gmail.com. We also have a Patreon page if you want to sign up for that. Patreon.com/DefendYourMovie. But social media wise, let us know what the hell, why is this good? We're all really
Yeah, I'm
asking.
open to it.
Yeah.
For sure.
Tom, you want to plug anything?
Caroline's March 14th. Come see me do it.
Yes.
Yes.
Come see Tommy, and you want to do, what's your Twitter?
Tommy MCNAM. Tommy McNam.
And Sarah.
Have a podcast with Adrian Appalucci called Vag Podcast on SoundCloud or iTunes, and then you can follow me on Twitter at Tollemache.
Awesome. And I want to say thank you to Showbiz Studios for having us. Thank you to Alex. This was a really fun episode. Did you guys have fun?
Oh,
Yeah, blast.
Yes. We will see you next week, and hopefully Farrah will be here, but I don't know if I have time to watch Titanic, so
She's got
you
3
never know.
billboards up that say like 18 years since it came out. Sean's done nothing.
You're like I'm a union boss or something. Thanks so much. We'll see you next week. Bye.
There's a time